Welcome everyone to another episode of Get Resource Smart. I am your host, Flo Nicholas, where I really take the time to give you the opportunity to see all the wonderful things that are going on in New Hampshire, resources available, and just organizations that are really taking the time to make resources available to us, members of the community. So today I am really excited to have two amazing guests with us. Welcome.
Welcome,
right?
Flo.
So I'm going to start the introduction so you guys know how amazing this is, right? So we have Tom Raffio. You are the CEO and president of Northern Delta Dental. And then we have Ryan King. You are the head person in charge of the HR department. And I am so happy you guys are here. And people watching at home, you're like, you guys have Delta Dental, what is going on? But no, just listen. Because you guys are doing amazing things in the community, right? I mean, your just efforts in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion, fighting for Medicaid, dental benefits. I mean, the list is long, but guess what? We have the time to go down that list. So welcome. I'm gonna start with you, Tom, and just let people know who you are and how your journey started as the president and CEO.
Sure, Flo. First of all, I'm honored to be with you, and I'm glad our lives connected. Ever since we connected about a year ago, I keep seeing you at the same events
right.
and so forth.
Right.
And congratulations on all your honors and how you've done so much for the world and breaking the glass ceiling and everything else. So I'm just honored to be here. Well, my journey began, I moved up here in 1995, and as soon as I moved here, I said, oh my God, I can't believe that there's not a dental program for people on Medicaid, so as an example. So I worked the last 27 years to try to make that happen, and we were fortunate back in July for the governor to finally sign the law, and so I've been working night and day since then to establish the program, because my new mantra, Flo, is everybody deserves a healthy smile, not just people with traditional group dental insurance, but all the underserved populations, the older population, people that literally haven't been to the dentist literally in a quarter or a century. So that's the sort of the energy that I live with. But the other thing is, New Hampshire is such a great place to live. I want to make sure that in the future it is. So all the other activities, that we do in terms of sponsoring, population health and addressing oral health disparities, that's in my DNA to try to make New Hampshire a better place for the future.
Yeah, and what you're doing is absolutely amazing. And Ryan, you're kind of a newbie at the company. So what is it like working beside Tom and essentially all the wonderful things that he's involved in for the community?
Yeah, Northeast Delta Dental is a very special place. Before I was honored to get the job there, I had heard about, and everybody in New Hampshire knew who Northeast Delta, their culture, the awards. We kind of got a little jealous at other companies because we wanted to win something. They seemed to win all the awards. And now being there for 18 months, I see why. The culture is amazing. Our leadership team is amazing. Our people are amazing. We're very fortunate to have a leader who understands what the investment in the culture means. Not just a fancy catchphrase in saying, oh, we're an employer of choice. Okay, what does that mean?
Exactly.
Right? Every company wants to throw that around. And as great of a leader as Tom is, he's a better human being. And people may not see that side of him. I'm fortunate, right? I get to see that on a daily basis.
Yeah.
He makes me a better person. Aww. He makes me come in and want to work as hard as possible.
Not just
for the company, but for our people, because our people are so invested in our company. Now, I like to joke with them. I'm like, you don't have to leave here at the end of the day singing Northeast Delta Dental songs. However, care about what you do. Yeah. And we preach that message even in interviews when we're interviewing new candidates, saying this is a special place. We are very thorough in our hiring practices because we're not just looking to fill a seat. We talk about it often. We will never lower our standards, and when we hire someone, we'd rather have the position unfilled and hunt for that perfect fit. And we're fortunate. We have people that are genuinely the fiber of what makes us the company we are. It's an honor to work there. I couldn't be any more happy than I am, and I'm not just pumping Tom's tires. This is legit, and you and I had a chance to chat a little bit about that. And when I interview people, I say, I'm not trying to sell the company to you. I'm trying to have you see it through the eyes of a newer employee who sees how special it is. And that's what people are looking for. It goes beyond having a job, right? You want to feel like you're part of something, whether it's work, but also the empowerment we have to do our jobs, but also to be part of our communities and to give back and be on boards and philanthropic efforts. We have programs that allow people to be part of, nonprofits, and they can take time off to go be part of that. And the company has a great program that makes donations on behalf of those employees. It's just, I could sit here all day and ramble about how great of a place, but I won't.
Yeah, no, this is wonderful. He needs a bonus. Yeah.
Well, he succeeded, Flo, a legend. So you probably heard of, part of the audience has heard of Connie Roy Jakowski. So she was with me during that quarter of a century journey, and long before the events of 2020 had me on the path of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and making sure that there was gender balance, and making sure that we had BIPOC population on our board. So because of Connie, our board structure now is, we have 41 board members, 21 of whom are women and 20 men. That took a 15-year process, 18% BIPOC. So Connie was a leader. And so when Connie was retiring, and she extended her retirement because COVID hit, and we were needing to address a lot of employee needs at that point because a few were temporarily furloughed, and so all that process, she agreed to stay on. But then she went through the process of hiring her successor, and somehow landed Ryan, who was continuing to reinforce all the values that Connie had instilled in our company. And we're not running a country club. We probably pay people on the 50th percentile, but what we are is purpose-driven and authentic. So people want to get up, come to the office, and spread our new expression, everybody deserves a healthy smile. So they're purpose-driven. They can get involved in the community if they want. If they're at a time of their life where maybe they have aging parents or dealing with kids, and if they don't want to get on nonprofit boards, that's fine too. But those that have the time and want to populate the various nonprofits in New Hampshire, they have that opportunity. And it's a fun place. So the two biggest compliments I've ever gotten is a consultant once came in and said, you walk into this building, it's like a fresh green forest. They could feel it, and that I'm authentic, that I'm the same person that I am in the mailroom as I am in the boardroom. Because when you're consistent, people know who you are. Yeah. They can accept if the answer is no, but they know that you're authentic.
Yeah, and the fact that you are here, right? You are the president and the CEO of the company, and you made time for poor little old me.
No, I mean, I would not miss this. I mean, Flo, I mean, I meant what I said at the beginning. I'm so glad our lives connected, and of course, all the recent awards that you have gotten, and the way you've really, plowed a path for other women executives and lawyers and so forth in the state. It's amazing. So I'm just honored to be here, candidly.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, I'm just getting started. I sometimes I feel like I've just made a crack. I'm waiting to make that big explosion. But let's talk about the big elephant in the room, because you guys have kind of touched upon it a little bit. Right now, we're seeing a lot of organizations that are kind of doing a step back when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Notably, right now with the tech layoffs, we're starting to see some of the, things that are getting cut, the DEI budgets, and just a lot of questions around just the importance of diversity, equity, inclusion. You guys have been really working on DEI before it became, what most people are calling it now, a trend. Let's talk about how you started those efforts and why other organizations, and I feel like other organizations need to be looking at you as an example of essentially how to be a company that has the mindset of creating a sense of belonging for all their employees and also for their patients.
Let me start, I'll answer that, and then maybe Ryan, you can back it up with some stats. So as I mentioned earlier, in partnership with Connie, really since the late 90s, we knew that the most successful companies have boardrooms that are diverse, and that have employees that are diverse. It's proven. The data is out there that the more diverse you are in the boardroom, your company is going to be more successful. We want those alternative opinions. We want those divergent views. For example, when we look at oral health disparities, having people of color on the board has really helped, because when we put and support nonprofit clinics, and yet, some people don't show up even though they're free, we can ask them questions, and part of that is people won't go to the dentist unless the dentist looks like them,
Yeah.
So we realize that you can do all of the free dental clinics and so forth, but we also have to work on getting more people of color into dental schools and into the profession. So from a public policy perspective, Connie and the board and myself, we've been working on that for years and years. And it's, as you pointed out earlier, we all take these steps forward. My approach is I kind of see what's going on in Washington, D.C. and Concord, but what can I do with my corporate resources and myself personally as a level 5 leader? So with Connie, we've been working on that literally for 25 years,
Wow.
which has led now to, we have a large boardroom because we have 3 states actually, Vermont, Maine, and New Hampshire. So we have 41 board members. And as mentioned earlier, more than half of those are women. Well, that took a long time. It wasn't because it became the hot topic after the events of 2020, and then we have been working equally hard on getting the BIPOC population, into the boardroom. And it makes for a more successful company when you're inclusive. People want to come to work for us because it's purpose-driven. They know they'll have a voice and that it's inclusive. So it's a good business practice besides being, the right thing to do. And it gave me the energy to make sure that finally the 119,000 people that are on Medicaid can finally have a dental benefit. I was literally working on that for, I call it the 26-year marathon, educating the public, educating political leaders on the importance of oral health. Then when we got the contract late last year, it went from a 26-year marathon to a sprint, because then we had 3 months to get it up and running on April 1st. But that, I think, could only occur by being authentic with diversity, equity, inclusion. What we did after 2020, since it was a natural flow for us, so we just continued our momentum, but we did establish a board committee on diversity, equity, inclusion, just so they can, track the metrics. So that's probably the one thing, that the additional thing we did, but it was just really continuing all of the great and authentic activities, now bolstered by a board committee that looks at the metrics that Ryan provides, as well as what we're doing with oral health disparities. Right, Ryan? I think it's a real plus for you, right?
Absolutely, and you made a great point, right? This is a journey, right? DEI initiative, they're a journey. It's not you check a box and say, we did that. It never stops. We never stop. We constantly look at ways how we can be better at it. We work closely with James McKinn and Jermaine Hill and the NAACP and folks like yourself and some others, but we never look in the mirror and say, we're done with this. We've done such a great job. You can never rest on it. And it's genuine, right? Our employees understand the genuineness of it. We don't force feed them topics, right? We garner feedback from them and say, how else can we help this journey? What topics would you like to see? And it's not just of race and color, it's also, generational workforce. That's an important part. There's many different variables to DEI, and some of them forget it. Age is a big one that people don't include.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that, because I think that we've gotten to a point where we've made it so black and white, and people don't realize that ageism and protecting, like your fight, your 26-mile journey fighting for Medicaid, for dental benefits, it's supports those people who fall into that bracket, right? That are, 50 plus. People tend to forget that part.
And I just spoke at the New Hampshire State Council of Aging, and they were fascinated that we actually were addressing that, because I guess they don't hear a lot of companies that are looking at that as a topic of interest.
Yeah.
And civility, right? Civility is another one. It's a part of DEI that people they overlook that topic. And you have to, you can never sit there and say, oh, we're the best at doing this, because
Yeah.
I learn every day more and more about things that, catch my eye. And it's a lot of fun, though, when you have a company and leadership that understands this journey. Like Tom mentioned, this started long ago for us. This wasn't a flavor of the day for us.
And I learned so much when we've done the training with both James and Jermaine, for example, and we would have breakout groups with our employee colleagues, and some of the stories, I was literally in tears sometimes listening to some of the stories, and the fact that employee colleagues were willing to to share, and it's just really helped the company grow. One of the things you hear, oh, well, white privilege. Well, what privilege did you have? But when Jermaine explained it, which is, yeah, you all work hard, but when you're driving on the car, you don't have to worry about being stopped by the police. That was like light bulb went on everybody's head. Yeah, we all work hard. Like, I got my MBA at night. I worked 2 jobs. I paid for my own school. So I've been working 7 days a week probably for my whole life. But I didn't have to worry about when I'm driving being pulled over,
Yeah.
So when it was explained that way, like, the light dawned on everybody in the room. This is what we mean by that. It's not that someone's saying you don't work hard. It's because you don't have to worry about certain things. And so that type of training has just bolstered the other purpose-driven activities, of our company. And it's just really amazed with how our employees, have engaged at Ryan and understand the importance of it. And again, though, it wasn't the flavor of the month. This started, in the late 90s and the first part of the new century, thanks to Ryan's predecessor, Connie, who, by the way, Flo, is still on the circuit, even though she's retired. I'm sure you've run into her a few times. Still emails me at midnight asking me to, you really got to come to the Women's Foundation event. This was a couple Saturdays ago.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I will definitely be there. And it was just really wonderful. So you have to be authentic. You have to be purpose-driven. And then the big secret out there for my leadership out there, it's good for business too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as I said, we're not running a country club. We pay people probably at the 50th percentile, but they're energized, they're doing the right thing because it's a purpose, and they're doing the right thing, and they want to come to work, they want to solve oral health disparity, and they totally believe in everybody deserves a healthy smile. And that sounds so simple, Flo, but 20 years ago, people thought getting your teeth fixed or getting your oral health taken care of, that's a luxury. And I'd only go to the dentist when I have a toothache. But we now know all the systemic relationships, forgetting the self-esteem issues. But there's so many relationships between good oral health and good oral health. Now that people understand that, the purpose behind our company is so even more clear to the outside world and to our own employee colleagues.
Yeah, I love that ideology of purpose-driven, right? Because a lot of companies are revenue-driven, right? It's every quarter. How much did we make? How much did we lose? Okay, what are those numbers? But you guys are more than that, and this is why I wanted you on here. So thanks to Ryan for giving me this wonderful breakdown, but I want to make sure I capture some of the organizations that you actually get involved in and the project and initiatives for social justice that you get involved with. So let's talk about My Smile Buddy Project, because you kind of have that there's one in Nashua, New Hampshire, and I'm also seeing one here in Vermont. So let's talk a little bit about that so people in the community who probably might need this are aware of it.
Sure. So when we formalized the board committee on diversity, equity, and inclusion, we wanted to also formalize what we were doing with oral health disparities. So one of our senior leaders is Dr. Joe Arante, who gets out there in the community, has established a number of scholarship programs. We want people to settle in different parts of Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont to help serve the underserved. And we connected with Bobby Bagley, and who I think everybody knows probably listening to this show. She's in Nashua, and we also a Columbia University team. And what we found out in Nashua is, again, that there needed to be a certain amount of education on the importance of oral health. So we established, it's called the My Smile Buddy Project, and it's set up so that it's in the language of the many diverse people that have settled in the Nashua and southern New Hampshire, and it has allowed families now to go to the dentist and establish those early habits that you need, because once a child establishes the oral health habits between 0 and 4, then they're hooked for a lifetime of wanting to keep their teeth where they need to be. And what I've heard from this program too is that it also encourages the moms and dad, when they see their child, their oral health being taken care of, then they're sort of incentivized as well. So it really, I give a lot of credit to Dr. Joe and to Bobby Bagley for establishing that program. And we have similar programs, as mentioned, we're a tri-state organization, so we have similar programs in Portland, Maine, as well as in Vermont. And there's many more things we do to sort of achieve the everybody deserves a healthy smile. This might surprise you, but veterans, many of whom are diverse, when they go to the VA, 9 times out of 10, they can't be served by the VA because there are these congressional rules. You have to demonstrate that you either are a POW or fully disabled. So you show up at the VA, you're rejected for oral health care. Well, once we learn that, we establish a whole different network of dentists who we pay so the veteran can be served. So it's all about being attentive to your mission. And you're right, we're blessed. We're not evaluated by Wall Street. I mean, we look at the long view. But again, it's good for business, because if you look at our long-term trajectory, we have grown, we have been profitable, but we don't pay attention to the numbers. I always say, if you pay attention to your mission and do the right thing, the numbers take care of themselves. So yes, I have my MBA, and it's not my favorite thing. I can run numbers, but I more pay attention to mission and vision, and the numbers take care of themselves.
You are so right. Yeah, it's people remember not always like how much you charge them, but the quality of care, how they felt. You heard earlier from one of our camera operators who is like, hey, I love my dentist. And the dentist is taking the time to play music, that calms her when she's in there, because some of us are scared of the dentist. So I love that. And what is your take on all the nonprofit work that you guys do? Because you're not just a regular company. You guys are heavily invested in the community.
Yeah, it's fascinating when you see the contributions that the people you work with every day, what the company makes. It's amazing. I've never seen anything like it. It makes you feel like you want to go in there and turn the world upside down, for the and be part of it. And from an HR perspective, folks that I interview, I'll give you an example. I interviewed someone this week who wants to come and work for us because of the tremendous experience she had with our customer service team.
Wow.
I mean, how flattering is that?
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many folks are well aware of, our community involvement, philanthropic efforts. I mean, everybody knows Tom. They see him everywhere. And I can't tell you how many times people have said, what's it like to work for him?
Right.
I said, how much time do you have?
Right.
Well, the other thing is, and while certainly I focus myself a little bit on oral health, but our extension and engagement in nonprofits, we go way outside of oral health. I mean, we stay in our lane when it comes to oral health disparities, but we encourage support of all nonprofits. Most recently, I'm chair of the New Hampshire Business Committee for the Arts. And there's a big event because we want to make sure arts and culture stay afloat in New Hampshire. Obviously, with bigger issues like food insecurity, sometimes the arts can take a back seat, but we all know arts help mental health and everything else. So we encourage, and it's not just me, we have about 200 employees, we encourage them, get involved with any nonprofit that you want. You can take time away, from the office. And I think you agree with this, sometimes they get involved in another board and then they bring back some great idea that they heard at that board that helps us. That's right?
Absolutely. And we have leadership programs that we offer to our colleagues too that help them get prepared to serve on boards.
Awesome.
We're heavily invested in the professional advancement of all of our colleagues. We have a tremendous tuition reimbursement program. We have a great list of leadership programs, and it just helps everyone be a better professional.
Yeah.
The better they are, the better we are.
I know. We're all going to be sending in our resumes very soon.
Well, I get that a lot. People applying for jobs that don't exist, but I just want to get my foot in it.
Right. I'm just going to create my own role, and my desk is going to be next to Tom's, okay?
Well, that's the thing, it's like, it is good for business, right? When I go to CEO groups, everybody's lamenting that there's staffing shortages and they're down 50 people, 10 people. Well, we don't have that because people want to come work. So I'm not bragging about that, but it's just what we do authentically. People want to go to work. And then we don't have some of the team staffing issues that a lot of companies have, and our customer service area is renowned. We actually have human beings that answer the phone within 20 seconds that know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Every week I get 10 emails from customers. Oh my God, what a pleasure. I called in, someone answered the phone, and they knew what they were talking about, and they were human.
Yeah, and we'll touch upon that real quick, but I also want to highlight another program that you guys have, which is Age 1 Dental Check. Can we talk a little bit about that? Because you guys are working with dental students, pediatricians, so let's touch upon that as well, because I think that's important.
That's a really good public service announcement. So when I was growing up, and then certainly even raising my kids, it was thought that bring your child, your toddler in by age 4, but the science is actually age 1.
Oh, wow.
Or by the time
I was a little late. I brought mine at 3. I thought it was 3.
I know. So we have a number of programs. One's in Portland, but throughout New Hampshire as well, where we're encouraging moms and dads. We call it, baby to the dentist by 1, and so we work with our medical carrier as well. Just get that word out, because people have in their head, well, it's just baby teeth or whatever,
Right.
but you need to get really your toddler, your baby, into the dentist by 1, or when you see the first tooth erupts, which actually could be before 1. And dentists these days are trained on how to handle toddlers. When I first went to the dentist a million years ago, it was scary, right, as a little kid to go to it's no longer. Dentists are so well trained, they know how to get the baby to open up the mouth. And so moms and dads out there, really, I know you probably got a ton of things out of this program, but take this to the bank as well. Try to get your child into the dentist, by age 1. Your dentist, your pediatric dentist knows how to handle a toddler.
No, this is great because, like I said, I'll be honest, my 4-year-old, she just started, this year.
Don't feel bad. We all did the same thing.
So now you've heard it first. So by age 1, or when you see that first tooth come out, so make sure you're paying attention. So we've kind of talked about this. You and I were on a panel together just talking about the digital divide. And one of the things that I touched upon, which is so important, is, and because you guys are also advocating for benefits for the elderly population, is how we have become so digital. Mm-hmm. Right? Everything now is, you want to talk to the doctor, send an email, or you want to schedule an appointment, go onto this portal, but then it's not just go to the portal, you got to create your username, a password that's safe, and it's got to have the required exclamation point, whatever you want to call it. It's a lot for some people. How have you kind of gone the digital route? That's the first question. The second part is, and how are you helping your patients navigate this new digital world and still continuing to offer this superb customer service?
So the conference, Ryan, that Flo facilitated was so compelling because it made this point, this digital divide point, because you're right. I'm pretty, for a CEO, I'm pretty fluent with technology, but I can't do anything. I can't work out unless I go onto an app and sign up for an appointment. I can't, I can't confirm, my eye doctor appointment without it. And so everybody always says, just go on the app. And so I sometimes say to them, if I did that, like I would be doing nothing all day but going on apps.
We have heard that several times.
That's why we always want the human service at Delta Dental.
Yeah.
Now, if you are adept and fluent and have an iPhone or whatever digital device you have and you want to find out the status of your claims at Delta Dental, you can do all that. But there are many people, including myself, that would rather talk to a human being. So I think in terms of Delta Dental's approach, we have the best of both worlds. If you're digitally inclined and have the technology, you can interface with us very fluently. If you would prefer to talk to a human being, you can do it that. Now, the more public policy issue, though, is a great one that we talked about at your conference, which is when I get a dentist appointment, I get like 10 reminders on my text, show up, 10 minutes early. And so it's almost impossible to forget it because you get so many reminders. But what we have learned in the Medicaid population, these 119,000 people, there's definitely a digital divide, meaning they don't have the access to, some of them don't have the access to the digital device they need. So when sometimes there's a perception, the Medicaid population, they'll miss their appointments. Well, one, they're starting with 2 points of disadvantage. They're not getting the reminders that you and I need, I know I need. And then also they might have, transportation issues. So we're going literally, door to door at different clinics, that we support. We have a mobile dental clinic that shows up at 2 Delta right here in Concord. So people can show up and go right to the dentist. And then we will walk you through, when you show up, we'll walk you through the input that we need to make sure, if there are Medicaid eligibility requirements. So we as a society have to recognize, while I certainly understand the reality of technology and we can't go backwards, but it's not enough to say, well, we informed everybody, with the massive, text blast, because a lot of people aren't getting that.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, so you have to do many ways. I'm on the radio. A lot of people listen to the radio, surprisingly, and TV, so it's a ways to get the word out. So there's probably people watching this show that don't know that they're eligible, that dental is now part of Medicaid. I still get that when I'm walking around. They think, don't I have to do something separate? No. If you're eligible for Medicaid, you automatically have that dental benefit, and you can just show up at a dentist who takes Medicaid, or the mobile dental clinic that we've set up at Delta Dental.
Well, and thank you for that. Thank you for staying in the fight and not giving up, because that's going to give people the, dental benefits that they need. As well as thank you for what you're doing for veterans. My husband is an Air Force vet, so I know all about the whole
Thank
going
him
to
for
the
his
VA.
service. Yeah.
So it can be difficult sometimes. And I just want to make sure we highlighted on so much. I mean, you guys are doing so much in the community. This is probably, don't get jealous for other people who've been on the show. One of my favorite episodes. I love everybody else because it just highlights, sometimes we don't really see these dental is a big organization. And for you to be a large organization in our community that is doing so much and giving back and just being like gladiators and warriors for social justice and fighting for benefits, just simple benefits that every one of us should have, regardless of where we live, our zip code, and what we look like. And for both of you to be part of this amazing organization that is fighting for that and not being afraid to speak up and fight for that is tremendous. So thank you both.
Well, thank you for giving us this forum, and our whole approach is doing well by doing good. And and for my business colleagues out there, not only is it the right thing to do, whatever your mission is, in our case, everybody deserves a healthy smile. If you're purpose-driven and take the long view, it also works from a short-term perspective, but you don't have to worry about it. So thank you for this forum, because there probably 10,000 people that don't even know that they have this dental benefit.
Yeah.
And I want people to go to the dentist. So if you're Medicaid eligible and you haven't been to the dentist, please go. Flo, thank you for all that you've done to help in this journey. As my pal Ryan here said, it's a journey without a finish line, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm sure along the way we've made mistakes, but we've learned from them and we push on to try to make things better for the society, for everybody deserves a healthy smile.
Yeah. And Ryan, any last words? And for those of you who don't know, Ryan is actually a Hudson a resident. You don't live too far away from here.
2 miles. Great commute.
You could just have walked here if you wanted. Yeah. What is your call to action, or what is the last words that you want people to know about you and Delta Dental?
They don't need to know about me, but about Delta Dental. I mean, it's more than a dental company, right? It goes so far beyond the boundaries of, oh, okay, I mean, we've talked ad nauseum today about the wonderful things that are happening, and if people have questions about that, they can feel free to reach out to me as well. Anything that we have going on, feel free to, my contact info is on our website. Feel free to reach out to me because, as Tom mentioned, right, we're doing a lot of great things, but we're not done.
Right.
We have a lot more great things to do.
And you know what? People are always impressed. My direct line is 223-1300, and I love hearing from the community, not just customers, but everybody in the community. So thank you, Flo.
They're going to be calling saying, hey, I just created a position for myself.
I hope so.
Call me. Feel free.
I'm showing up for work tomorrow at 8.
Well, some of the most emerging, wonderful leaders are people that did that a few years ago, and then a position did surface. So it does work.
So I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. What type of coffee do you want? Well, thank you so much both again for being here. If there is anything wonderful that happens and you want to come share with the community, please, you're welcome back anytime. And for everybody else at home, thank you for watching another tremendous and fantastic episode of Get Resource Smart. Stay tuned for more.